Well, good Monday morning to you and happy Veterans Day. It's time for more with Moeller. It's our deeper dive into weather. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller from 13 News Now in Norfolk, Virginia, a Tegna meteorologist, and happy to talk to you about what's going on around the country. We're going to talk a little bit about something going on around the world that was kind of interesting in the world of weather. Let's get to some of our topics. You take a look right now, the tropics are quiet for the time being. We had Raphael. You remember Raphael last week and over the weekend? Well, it is no more. So we have a little lull, but that may not last very long. I'll show you what may be brewing and what we're going to be concerned with next. As we take a look for Hampton Roads, and this is Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina, and much of the East Coast, we did get some rain. Will it help with the drought situation? It was a steady rain that we got for several hours this morning. I'll talk about rainfall amounts and what it means or doesn't really mean for our drought situation. And we got to update you on the wildfires burning on both the east and the west coast. A lot of Canadian wildfires as well. And then Mount Fuji finally getting its snow cap last week. If you haven't heard about that, we'll talk about what was so unusual, and we'll give you some beautiful pictures to check out of Mount Fuji as well. It's pretty cool. That'll all be coming up. We're going to start off, though, the first thing up, an update on the tropics, and will this lull last? Let's take a look here. Again, the average hurricane season, you know, we start it and it runs through the summer. We go through June and July. We get into the peak right around September 10th, and then we wind down the end of November. So here we are on today, the 11th of November. We only have, what, two, 3 weeks left. That's it. So not too much more, but doesn't mean that you can't have late season systems. We do have some of those occasionally, and you can even get something out of season. I want to talk to you about where we typically look this time of year for potential development. And again, November systems are more rare than, say, October or certainly September, August. That's when we expect a lot of development. So you get into November, there's typically less activity, obviously, but you could still get some development in a few locations. One of those areas is the southeastern part of the Gulf of Mexico. Water temperatures here still pretty warm. Things that typically form down in this area or the Western Caribbean tend to move up. And we get into this time of the year, and you get pretty active storm tracks coming through. Those storm tracks will pick up anything that develops a lot of times and carry it kind of off to the east and the northeast. So this is one of the areas that we still look to in November, back into the Western Caribbean, and this is an area we're really going to be monitoring over the next 3 to 7 days. Again, that's where the Hurricane Center is saying, watch out, we may have something forming before too long. The other area, sometimes you can get something here in the southeastern or the southwestern part of the Atlantic. And again, typically the storm systems kind of pull them up. It's rare that we would see a system developing here slamming into the southeast U.S. But again, until you have the system totally to bed or the season put to bed, we're always watching all of these areas. These are just the primary areas that we do typically, if we're going to get a late season storm, a lot of time it develops in one of these regions. So wanted to show you that. Now, I mentioned the lull. Right now, the Gulf of Mexico is quiet. Beautiful to see that. Clear skies, really nice down along the Gulf. Most of the Caribbean not looking too bad. We do have a little cluster here, some storms that we're looking at here just south of Hispaniola. Basically, what we're going to find over the coming days, not too far from maybe Nicaragua or Honduras here, we could see the development of our next system. So let's take a look. And again, you've got that activity south of Hispaniola, but this is the area that the Hurricane Center identified this morning with a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. Not too worried about it over the next couple of days, but as we go out 3-4 days from now, finishing out this work week and getting into the upcoming weekend, that's when it's more likely we could see something develop here. So I do want to take a closer look at that. We're going to get into it with a look at our water temperatures. Again, mid 80s. It's so warm here, low to mid 80s. So this water, these sea surface temperatures still set to just fuel anything that does develop. Even though we're getting into November, we're going to be watching it. Now, initially, it's likely there's going to be a broad area of low pressure. We do anticipate that continuing to develop. We saw some clusters of showers over in here. Could see a low getting better organized. Question is, will it tighten up? Will it take on tropical characteristics? And again, you know, when you see those chances go from 20 to 30%, then 30 to 40%, as they did this morning, and the models are pointing at some development in this area, you need to pay attention. You need to be ready for it. So let's go ahead and take you forward. This is to Thursday afternoon, and you'll notice again how we're seeing more of these circles here representing the strengthening of this system, the deepening of the low. It's getting more powerful. That's through Thursday, 4 o'clock. Really, as we get into Friday and Saturday, it starts to look more and more ominous for folks here in Central America. Again, this is Nicaragua and Honduras here, very close to the point there could be a tropical system developing by the weekend, late this week and into the weekend. So this is the GFS model, the global forecast system. It's the U.S. global model. It's been doing a pretty good job through this hurricane season, and this is pointing to some development. So this is one model. I'm going to give you another one here. We'll take a look at the U.S. model and compare it with the European. And as we go through the week, Thursday into Friday, you'll see, again, the GFS, the U.S. model, kind of develops something in here, and the Euro just starts to bite on that again by Friday. Watch what happens into the weekend, though. They both kind of pulse up, and they both have this developing, intensifying area of low pressure. So again, I suspect over the coming days that we'll see that chance for development going from 40% to maybe 50%, unless something changes. The global models are pointing to at least a decent chance of tropical development later this week and into the weekend. That continues into Sunday. You'll notice as it continues to run on, though, it just kind of does its thing and may actually kind of wind down over the Western Caribbean. It's too early to know, but it is something that we will continue to monitor to see if everything continues to point to that. Models can and often do change, but right now both the Euro and the GFS say, hey, if you're down there near Honduras or Nicaragua, western part of the Caribbean, you certainly want to pay close attention. I would say the same thing to folks down around Jamaica, maybe the Cayman Islands. Just be mindful that there could be something down in that area. Next name on the list is Sarah, so we'll see if we get anything there. All right, our next topic, and I think this is so cool. All right, Mount Fuji is absolutely gorgeous. I mentioned today is Veterans Day, and a shout out and a salute to all of our veterans. I will tell you, I was born overseas in Japan. My father was a veteran serving the Navy during Vietnam, and we were stationed over there. I was born over there, and we have pictures of Mount Fuji from where my mom and dad lived on base, and it was absolutely beautiful to see some of these images. Well, this has been a bizarre year. Since they've been keeping track of this, this is the most delayed first snowfall or snow cap for Mount Fuji in 130 years. The previous record was set October 26th of 2016, and we had to wait until the first week of November to get that snow cap this year. Now, the top of Fuji is about 12,300 feet high, and again, the snow typically starts falling around October 2nd. So, you know, they get in their summer hiking season, then it winds down, and they typically start seeing that snow cap in October. In this case, it was a month later. And by the way, the October average temperature for Fuji is just under freezing, around 28 degrees or so Fahrenheit, 28.4 specifically. So this was a really warm average temperature this year. Fuji had an average temperature of 34.9. So too early to say whether this is a sign of climate change. A lot of folks it's the first question they ask, is this proof? Well, last year they had a near normal start to the snow cap. It was in October, but folks here, meteorologists and scientists there in Japan, watching that very, very closely. Something we're watching here in the United States, we've got those wildfires still burning on both the East Coast and the West Coast. And I want to start off by showing you the national radar. And you can see we've had some scattered showers down to the south and off to the northwest. Little bit of rain up here over Northern California. Let me put the wildfires on. These are active wildfires that are burning and that are not contained. Again, I got this information from the Fire Information for Resource Management System, and firms is, again, they have active maps where they show there's a bunch of little fires, but these are some of the fires that are right now not well contained. You can see from north of New York and parts of Connecticut, parts of Pennsylvania. We've got some out to the west here of the Commonwealth into West Virginia, western parts of Virginia and Kentucky, and a little something down in the westernmost tip of North Carolina there in the mountains. Then out on the west coast, we've got the fires burning north of LA up into Northern California, and there have been, obviously, as we've been reporting for the last week or so, some fires down around San Diego as well. So that's kind of the broad view with the map showing you the different fires across the country. We've got some video that I want to share with you on the latest, and we really had some tragic news out of an area just north of New York City. There was an 18-year-old volunteer forest ranger, and he was killed by a falling tree. Just absolutely heartbreaking. There were grief counselors there to help with that situation. Very difficult night for those continuing to wake up and have to fight those fires there to have that tragedy. Drought conditions have been fueling nearly 600 fires in recent weeks across New Jersey and New York. We've been talking about how dry it's been. It's been incredibly dry, and one fire is now starting to spread through the roots of trees, which is a whole nother issue. Now, on the West Coast, there's been nearly 3,000 firefighters that are battling the so-called mountain fire in Ventura County. And 200 buildings here, many of those homes have been destroyed by the fire. So, again, this has been a huge issue. That fire, the Ventura County fire, is now about 30% contained, so they are making some headway, but just incredibly difficult on both the East Coast and the West Coast. So we wanted to update you on that. Now, we mentioned the dry conditions. So much of the country is dry from coast to coast. You see that, these areas shaded in yellow, just showing abnormally dry. But you get into some of these areas that are colored kind of in this, well, you see the oranges and the darker reds. Those are extreme to exceptional drought, but kind of this butterscotch color. This is severe drought. And you can see New Jersey, Pennsylvania, this whole area into much of Maryland under severe drought to extreme drought. It gets really bad across West Virginia and into Ohio there, so along the Ohio River Valley, parts of North and South Dakota into Wyoming, northern parts of Colorado. And keep in mind, they had a ton of snow. This was a drought monitor through last Thursday. We'll get the updated drought monitor coming out in about 3 or 4 days, and we'll see what that looks like as we get into Thursday morning. Still, exceptional drought down over West Texas as well. So a lot of the country does need the relief. Here in Norfolk, we did get a little bit of rain, and that's going to be our next topic that we discuss. We finally got rain, and it wasn't just a little sprinkle like what we got last Friday. This was actually a legitimate, steady, light rain. Now, I do want to talk to you about this and what this really means, okay? At Norfolk International, since midnight, we've had 0.17 of an inch. And again, while that's not going to be enough to create any problems as far as, runoff and flooding or anything like that, this is the most legitimate or significant rain that we've had since early October. So we did get just a little bit last Friday, but this was a steady, gentle rain, the kind that the ground really welcomes because it doesn't just hit and run off and go straight into our sounds in the bay, the ocean. So much can run off into the rivers pretty quickly. In this case, this was more of a soaking rain. So this does help a little, but not much, not when you consider how dry it's been. And look at how warm it's been through the month of October so far. Through Sunday the 10th, we've had 9 days in Norfolk that have been above average. We only had 1 day, Sunday the 3rd, where it was below average. And again, we have picked up this morning since midnight 0.17, but the only other rainfall that we've seen since October 2nd was this 0.02, and that was on Friday the 8th. So again, the rain today is good. It's a great thing, okay? But it's not hardly going to make much of a difference at all in our drought situation. And here's what's a little unsettling specifically for Hampton Roads. And when I talk about this, this could really be true of North Carolina, up through Maryland, Delaware, some of those other areas we're talking about. We just don't have really good chances for rain anytime soon. There could be a few isolated showers late Thursday. but chances then only about 20% or so. So this is going to continue to be an issue, and you can see it is pretty dry after that. Slight chance early Friday morning, but as we head into the weekend, we're going to see more sunshine, and again, those dry conditions into early next week. Take a look at the drought monitor, and we can take this full. You can see across the area, we do have the severe drought off to the north. Parts of the eastern shore, from the northern parts of Northampton County up into Accomack County, and then once you cross north into Maryland, that severe drought continues. For the northern neck, we have severe drought. Most of our metropolitan area is under this moderate drought, so we definitely need some rain. But again, we got a little bit this morning. Will it be enough to knock it back? I don't think so. In fact, I expect this moderate drought may extend a little farther to the west, and we may see this severe drought sagging southward a little bit more as we get that update on Thursday, because it is dry and there's more dry weather coming up. Let's take a look at the extended outlook. This is 8 to 14 days out. You'll notice right along the East Coast, and these are areas that desperately need it. Philly, New York, New Jersey, we've talked about these areas, these communities, Boston, Connecticut, all these areas, neither wet nor dry, kind of equal chances that it'll be close to average. As you go farther inland, you do pick up some slightly better than not chances of getting a little more rain. It is expected to be wetter than normal from the Great Lakes back down through portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, much of Missouri, Iowa. These areas need it. Remember, Texas, I said, was under the exceptional drought. Some of the areas down there, they need it. Looks like they're going to see equal chances, wet or dry. So again, not looking at, should have fairly normal amounts for these areas. Probably a little bit drier than normal for the parts of, say, North Dakota into northeastern Montana. So that's a look at the precipitation outlook. And in case you're wondering about those temperatures, it is going to be warm for the eastern half of the country, maybe a little below average, cooler than average, Southern California, Arizona, parts of New Mexico, and then up towards Idaho, northern Nevada, and northwest Utah. So this is just the outlook, again, 8 to 14 days out, but it gives you a feel for what's coming down the line. All right, I want to talk to you about our Veterans Day forecast. And again, to all of you who have served or who are actively serving now, thank you so much for your service to our country. So much respect and love for all of our servicemen and women that are out there protecting our country and our interests. You take a look at the Veterans Day forecast. Lots of stuff going on around the country. As I mentioned, we've had some showers here, and I'll come back to our local weather in a moment, but you can see chances for showers down along the southeast coast. Pretty dry for most of the northeast. There might be a few showers up around portions of Maine, a little bit of snow potentially for the upper peninsula of Michigan, and some unsettled weather for northern California. It's one of the areas where the wildfires could use a little bit of that rain, and then snow back up to the north into Oregon and parts of Washington state. Central part of the country should be dry. Let's give you some forecast information for later today. I expect highs in Hampton Roads to be in the mid-70s, Raleigh close to 76, New York City partly cloudy, 67, Cleveland 58, Atlanta 75, Orlando warmer down that way, 86 and 80 for New Orleans. As we look in the central U.S., Chicago, nice day there, a little cool, 56, 66 in St. Louis, Little Rock at 70, temperatures warmer around Dallas, 77, 53 at Omaha, lots of sunshine up through Minneapolis, so chilly over the north central U.S. as you would expect. We're getting to that time of year. As I mentioned, some unsettled weather around San Francisco. I think about observances out that way. Seattle also a little wet, so folks going out to salute our military and maybe celebrate with a parade or something, you'll want to keep umbrellas handy if you're along the west coast, especially the northwest. Looking great around Vegas, Salt Lake City, Billings, Denver, Phoenix, all dry, as you can see. Now we're going to focus a little bit more on Hampton Roads, and I love our sky views. This is a Priority Automotive sky view, and we can take this full. That ship that you see on the other side of this apartment building in downtown Norfolk, it's docked alongside Nauticus. That is the battleship Wisconsin, and it is an amazing warship. Again, the Wisconsin, also known as the Whiskey, part Wisconsin, parts of the Kentucky kind of brought together. that ship is just amazing. And again, a salute to all of the men and women who have served and continue to serve our country. Temperatures through the afternoon here in Norfolk are going to be in the lower to mid 70s. It's looking pretty good. I think officially around 75. There could be a couple of passing showers, but we're going to see clearing skies. A cold front's coming through. That's going to bring about a wind shift late tonight. You notice chances for wet weather down to the south, but most of Hampton Roads should be drying out a little bit later on after the passing showers exit. Now, with the winds picking up from the north, it is going to be really breezy tomorrow. In fact, windy, we'll say, right along the coast. We could see some gusts upper 20s to near 30. I'll show you more on that in a moment. Notice with the north winds how much cooler it is. Low 60s. That's it for tomorrow. So mid 70s today. Front comes through tonight, and then we stay in the low 60s tomorrow. Looking ahead, as we get into Wednesday, it's going to be even cooler. And again, you see those northeast winds really funneling in. May bring up our water levels just a little bit with that northeast direction with the winds. But at this point, the big news will be the much cooler air coming in. Highs expected to stay in the upper 50s. And that's really it as we get into Wednesday. It's going to be a cool day. After that, the temperatures will start to come back up a little bit. Now, as we take a look at the forecast, the winds I told you we're going to be picking up. Overnight tonight, it may get a little gusty, especially late, but tomorrow I think we could see some gusts at times during the afternoon on your Tuesday, gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour. So it will be breezy. And again, those winds coming in from the north and the northeast. Let's give you some more forecast detail. For the afternoon, mid-70s. We'll see low to mid-70s in some spots. We've had a few sprinkles. We could still see a passing shower or two, but generally we should see decreasing clouds as we head through the afternoon and get into the evening. I think we're going to see the skies clearing out quite nicely. Up on the eastern shore, temperatures there upper 60s to near 70. Cape Charles, Melfa. Again, you've seen a little bit of wet weather earlier. A passing shower still possible. And the same for the peninsula and the middle peninsula. Hampton, right there at Langley Air Force Base, they should be close to 73. 73 at Gloucester, 72 in Newport News, and Williamsburg, historic Williamsburg, around 73 degrees. Beautiful up there, but there will be that chance for showers. So again, anything, any observances, any celebrations you have for our veterans, may want to take an umbrella just to be on the safe side. Down at the Outer Banks, Kill Devil Hills and Manio, a shower, maybe a stray storm. I will say the latest model runs kind of hinting that there might be a stronger storm or two potentially down around the Outer Banks. For our inland parts of North Carolina, generally mid to upper 70s. For the Coast Guard Air Station, Elizabeth City, 77 degrees there, and Gatesville close to 75. Tonight's low temperatures are going to drop down into the lower to mid 50s. This will be at the coast. Inland areas will be cooler. I suspect some areas into the 40s. It's going to be mainly clear as the winds shift from the southwest eventually to the north. The winds will start to pick up a little bit as we head towards sunrise. All right, the cooler weather then settles in. 62 for a high tomorrow, and this is actually very close to average. Our normal high now is 63 degrees, so tomorrow's high of 62, kind of settling back, mostly sunny, but it will be quite breezy. Winds gusting, I'll say 25, but just know there could be some gusts right along the coast up to about 30 miles per hour or so. Here's the rest of the 7-day forecast. After this cool down coming up through Wednesday, we start to warm it back up. Thursday, 61, 62 on Friday, and then back into the mid-60s for Saturday and Sunday. A lot of sunshine coming up into the weekend. Again, beautiful if you've got outdoor plans or if you want to get out and enjoy the area. But I got to tell you, some rain at this point, as I was detailing a bit earlier, that would be a good thing. We could actually use the rain. So, you know, we'll hold out. Maybe we get a shower or two there on Thursday coming through, but doesn't look like a big widespread event, and the chances are going to be pretty low after that for a while. This is what we're looking at. Want to remind you, you can always follow me through our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can reach out eventually with these more with Moellers. We are going to give you guys a chance to ask some questions that I can answer specifically with these updates. Maybe you've got a weather topic you want me to look into. Hit me up on our social media platforms, and I'll try to get to some of those questions and answer those for you. And if you've got some pictures of the weather in your area, I'd love to share those as well. So we do have some folks that like to take some of the pictures, kind of capturing what's going on. This is a great way to stay in touch. I thank you so much for joining me through the morning. And again, hopefully you enjoy these deeper dives into the weather. And just know that we're going to be doing these each morning as we go through the mid-morning. And it's always available through 13 News Now. Plus, we stream a lot of it to YouTube as well. But you can always find it on our 13 News Now Plus app, available on Fire TV, Apple TV Plus, and of course on Roku. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.